What do you guys think about it? Because I think I think we talked about it before when it
it's
first came out. It
interesting.
kind of looks like that Heath Ledger thing, like I said, but
we talked about it, when we were just off camera, but I pointed out that there's something about the face that, even though I know it's super blurry and so you can't really be sure of what you're seeing, but to me there's something about his lip, the left side of his face, his lip, that seems real droopy to me, and even his nose seems kind of like off kilter somehow.
It does.
Now that could just be distortion from the camera angle or because of the glass, but I almost get the impression that it gives me the feeling of Greg Capullo's Joker from the Scott Snyder Greg Capullo version. Yeah, where Joker had actually cut his own face off and then attached it back on at a later date. So I kind of get that impression from that picture. Now I could be completely, just putting my own bias and spin on it because I liked that version of the Joker, but there's something about that droopiness to me that kind of gives that subtle or that hint of maybe that's what's going on.
I think even with the blurriness, it just looks totally different. Like the hair, from what you can see, it's like longer. I mean, I could be wrong about that too, but it just doesn't look like the same Joker from, like Suicide Squad or anything like that.
no, it totally does looks like it looks very similar.
Yeah.
You can see it looks pretty similar.
And Rob, you had another observation about the face and maybe the lack of something on the face.
Yeah, what I noticed too of it, and this could also just be an effect of like the blurriness and everything, obviously, but it seems like the tattoos are gone. Because if you remember, he had the facial tattoos, and I mean quite a bit of them. And you don't really see them there at all.
Looking like a damn SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah, exactly. And then the thing is, if he did one way, what I've suggested, kind of based on what you were saying, where it kind of looks like the New 52 version of Joker with the cut off face. It's like, what if they actually have him do that as a way of removing the tattoos in general?
That's true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he could cut his face off and just he could literally have a line where he's just like in like a crazy Joker kind of breakdown kind of scenario where he's just like, I was ready for a change, so I cut off my face and then I bleached them off or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? And it's because it's something he would do.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things. Like, if these things that we're talking are like, if we're interpreting the blurred image correctly, and it is cut off and the tattoos are missing, that's a lot of explanation that needs to happen in what I imagine is going to be a very short scene with the Joker. Like, I mean, they talked about. I think we're all still basing these assumptions off of the fact that some people have said there's only an additional 4 to 5 minutes of new footage. That's not a lot of time to be.
Well, it's an hour
to be putting like big narrative points like the Joker's face and why it looks different.
Oh yeah, then you got a lot for Martian Manhunter footage has been confirmed, and then Deathstroke has been confirmed. So I mean, there's like 3 new characters, new quote unquote, for the movie, and it's like, granted, I think Zach was kind of insinuating that a lot of the Martian Manhunter stuff was part of his original cut. It's at least what kind of vibe I've been getting based on everything he's been saying about him. I don't know. He's primarily, I think it was just announced too that he's a full CG character. So, because I said this before when the 5-minute news came out, it was like maybe they were explicitly talking about physically shooting something and not anything that was, in CG world.
Well,
maybe
it's an hour and 50 minutes of new footage, or like unused footage, I think they said.
Yeah.
But that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, they could have had all the Martian Manhunter scenes shot, just not CG'd, so they could not be counted. They could be saying like that could be why that's not included in the 4 to 5 new footage minutes that they recorded.
You could probably fit a lot into that time period, though, thinking about how short the clips could be.
Sure.
So,
yeah, it's just my only thing is I'm still leaning on the fact that I just don't know what the point of bringing Joker and Deathstroke into it would be if you're not setting something up for the future. You know what I mean? And not just from like a story standpoint, even from like a Joe Manganiello actor and Jared Leto actor standpoint, like why go and do this if they're
Do you
never gonna do it again, you know? Like, I don't know, it
do
just
you
seems
th-
weird.
do you think that the okay, so here's my, and this is why I'm going to say this is because I'm guessing that it's going to be a tag scene at the end of the movie. I don't know narratively. Again, I just got done saying I probably shouldn't frame my reference based off Justice League, but I don't know narratively with what we've seen out of Justice League how you'd fit those two characters in. So my natural inclination is to say it's just a tag at the end, like setting up maybe a future like the Injustice Society or something. But even if that was the case, then why do you throw it in if there isn't going to be anything in the future? And my only rationale for why that may be the case would be this is WB giving Zach his ability. So Zach doesn't come out and basically, so Zach doesn't come away from this and say, well, it was mostly what I wanted, but I actually wanted to do this tag at the end that they ended up cutting out or not letting me do. And in this way, you know, when it's all said and done, Zach's going to say, yes, this is the ultimate version of what my Justice League would have looked like. And that way WB doesn't have to deal with the fan backlash of, you know, oh, but he didn't get to add this scene that he wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it seems like that's been a lot of the driving force behind this whole movement is fans of Zack's being like, we want to see Zack's vision of it. We don't want it, you know, watered down for Warner Brothers or whatever.
You know what, too? There was the end tag of Justice League that had Deathstroke in it with Lex
Yep.
Luthor. What if all they did was add Joker into that, too?
Yeah.
And they just
That's
reshot
possible.
some more stuff with just that.
Do we know if did Eisenberg come back to shoot stuff? Do we know?
Nothing's been confirmed, but that
Okay.
it's not to say though that they couldn't have just had Lex not really directly interact with them, just have Deathstroke interact with them, and like just
Yeah.
kind of cut it up to make it look like he was talking to both.
Yeah.
And like there was probably some other dialogue of Jesse's that they cut so that they could just make it look like he directly spoke to Joker if they needed him to for whatever reason. But because I could see that happening,
Yeah.
because that was setting up the Injustice Society thing already. And
Yeah.
like just throw Joker into it, like why he's right there, just do it, like, you know, as opposed to setting up some other like standalone scene for Joker that just based on what we know about the Justice League story, that's why it's like that none of it really makes sense. Like what Joker gonna do against parademons and Dark Side
really.
and Steppenwolf?
Sure.
It's like where does he fit in?
That's
So he
true.
fit into that scene at the end of the movie where Deathstroke already was, so like that would kind of make sense. Like
Do you think that image, that promo image of the Joker that he released is it just an image that was taken to release as a promo image, or do you think that's a scene from the film that they have digitally altered?
I would honestly say probably a promo image.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
kind of like I go back to the Heath Ledger one again. Like that wasn't in the movie.
I think
Yeah,
that was
it
the
actually
scene where
was.
it's in the beginning where he's like, you know, right before he kills the guy and the bus comes in at the bank and he's like staring
Yeah.
down at the camera.
Yeah,
He
it
was
Whatever doesn't
was.
kill you
wearing
makes you stranger.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
because he wasn't.
and
He
that
was wearing the purple coat in the promo image,
I
and
don't
he's
think he
not wearing
was.
the purple coat in that scene.
no, you're talking about. I know which promo image you're talking, but the very first promo image that came out was you've got Chris Nolan off to the, if I'm remembering, he's in the left side of the frame
Yeah,
Yeah.
along with the IMAX camera, and he's giving direction to Heath Ledger, who's on the right side, and they've put this frosted glass barrier in front of Ledger's Joker.
yeah,
So you like couldn't tell what it was really. Or...
And
yeah.
I always assumed that was from an actual. They were actually doing filming, and they had somebody just off to the side put that up and take a picture of it just so they could release something.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. I just thought he was wearing
Okay.
a purple coat.
I don't think
Oh,
he
maybe
is.
I can't find the damn picture though. Of course.
I think I dropped it in Discord when we were talking about this earlier this week. I don't know if you can scroll back. I'm trying to go back and through and see if I can find it for you. Hopefully I put it in the right area, but we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? Speaking of which, dude, what was I gonna say? I thought about it right at the beginning. I was gonna say it earlier, and I completely forgot what it was. It had something to do with a hot toy.
It's in topics. It's in the
Yeah.
topics section of Discord. It's just back above the picture that you dropped in earlier.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
I gotta pull it up. Where are we at?
But yeah, I could.
Yeah, he is wearing the
bank
thing
robbery.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
The bank robbery one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
That's that. I think that's the scene where he says, you know, whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's around that same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that image I always took when they released that, I always thought, well, they just snapped. That's why I was wondering about the Leto picture. Like, did they just take a clip from the actual movie and just blur out Leto's face much like they did here, or is that something that Zach was like, "Hey, Jared, we're going to need a promotional pic, so I want you to do this," and go that route. But then again, this is a long way of. My God, I'm taking the longest way possible. This is a long way of getting to that image. Doesn't give you any background. So it doesn't. Basically, what I was going to say, it doesn't look like it's on a boat. So then that makes that whole tag at the end be something different. Is it set somewhere else in the movie? Does their whole setup for Injustice League just not even does Zach's tag for a setup not happen on a boat? And then you would need Eisenberg back for a different filming. I don't know. I'm going off in 1,000 different directions here on where he could fit.
Well, and the other thing is too that we kind of noted was that he's wearing like gloves. The outfit itself looks weird. It's like almost like a butcher or surgical doctor looking outfit. It looks like he's wearing all white or something.
Yeah,
like clothing with the like white gloves. Granted, could be just color grading, making it look different. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I figured too, the gloves would also be another easy way of not redoing all his hand tattoos because he also had all his stupid hand tattoos everywhere. Like just for that, I hated it mainly just for that one scene, which people would like nowadays call cringy in a lot of ways. The little like smile on his hand, like, dude, it's a stupid.
That was
such a stupid scene. Like, and honestly, it doesn't even go with the kind of character that he played. He played this like gangster, like, you know, it's just like, why is he acting like that? If he's acting like this and he's acting like that, and he's got all this, I don't know. I did not like the tattoos. I liked everything else about the character. I thought was fine. Like the look, everything was good, just minus the tattoos. Like especially the facial ones. If he had other tattoos, like I think it'd be fine. It's just like
I remember the first time I saw the tattoos, and I was like, "That is so stupid."
Yeah, it's just it's the choice of the tattoos and the positioning of the tattoos that are just like I don't like that.
Yeah,
like, and it's like I get the meaning behind like when Air and Leto like explains the like damaged one. I'm like, okay, that's a cool explanation, but the tattoo's still stupid.
Yeah,
like it's I don't know. I just never took it as part of like something that any Joker, even the one that Jared Leto portrayed, would go through doing. Like, it's
let me go get some tattoos. Like,
yeah, you know,
it would make me look cooler.
Yeah. That's like the metal teeth thing made sense. Like when you got the backstory, it's like, oh, Batman beat the living out of him, and he got real just new metal teeth put in, and it's like, well, that makes sense, and that helps prevent that from happening again. So it's like you get the look of having this grill kind of thing, but there's actually like some I don't know practical use to it. Yeah. That's I don't know.
But again, like you said, when you have the explanation behind it, it kind of works. But that
no
yet again,
it's like
you don't anybody watching the movie has no idea. I mean, you shouldn't have to go read an interview with the director and the actor to understand why the movie is the way it is. Like, tell us in the freaking movie. That's why I paid my $15 to go sit because I wanted to get the story of what was going on, not vague innuendo about what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Show don't tell.
Yeah.
Show don't tell. Especially normally that applies to a movie in general, but this is like you didn't show or tell, you told outside of the movie. Like, you know, that's what like brings me back to the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. The visual dictionary had to explain why things in the movie made sense because they still didn't make sense.
Even with shouldn't have to do that.
And it's like, you can't do that. That's horrible storytelling. Like, if you can't show me, let alone tell me in the movie, then you got a problem.
Don't do it.
Yeah, you got a
take
problem
it out.
with your
Take
story.
It out.
Yeah, like you're going the wrong way if you have to come up with things after the fact and other source material to make it make sense. I'm like, okay, you expect people to go read this just to understand this? Like, it was stupid. make a
What
good
about
movie.
the movie rated R? Are you happy with that? Do you think that that's going to significantly make it edgier or better in any way?
No, and I think it's like because we talked about this before when it was like rumored that it might be like realistically it should only be rated R like if it needs to be, and I don't see this movie in any way ever needing to be, especially based on what Zach had said about it. He said like Batman dropped some F bombs. You don't need that.
No.
Like
You
I'm
could
sorry,
easily,
you could easily go get
swap
around
something
that.
else out. Yep, you
Yeah,
can put a
and
different
then
word in.
Steppenwolf was like hacking people. Like you don't need that really either. Like just
No.
blood and gore doesn't make a movie good. Is it cool
Yeah.
if it's like set? If that's the movie, then cool. Like whatever. But it's like just adding it just for the sake of adding it isn't gonna make it cool. It reminds me of I think I brought this up before. The Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie was rated R. Didn't need to be at all. There was nothing in there that required the story to be rated R. It was literally just so they could drop some bad language every once in a while. Because there wasn't even gore or anything in that to make it necessary either. Like, because you can get away with a ton of stuff in PG-13. Venom was PG-13.
Yeah, you really can.
Like,
You get what, one
away with
F-bomb?
so much. Yeah.
The ultimate cut of BVS was also rated R, correct?
I don't know. I don't think so. Was it?
I thought it did. I thought
Look.
when you went from the theatrical to the ultimate cut, I think it went from a PG-13 to an R. I just wonder if there's going to be any additional scenes with Batman like attacking actual humans, because just like in cartoons where like if you attack robots or aliens, you can typically get away with more violent actions and still get a lower rating on things. But when you start attacking humans in a very violent way, then you typically the rating gets bumped up. So if they're just fighting parademons and Batman's going, hardcore on parademons, that's probably not going to push it to an R for violence, which I think is So, but I'm wondering if there's maybe some scenes with humans or people working for the side of Darkseid. I don't know. I'm just trying to
Zach
figure out.
said. He said it was Steppenwolf is like going around cutting people in half.
Okay.
That was Zach's words. So but at the same time, like you don't need to really show that to get that point across.
No,
sure.
Because I mean, you're CGing it in there anyway. Because it's not like you have someone literally cutting someone in half. So all you do is just have him hit the person, and then you cut somewhere else.
You cut to another person's reaction, and if they react properly, sometimes that's even more horrific than actually seeing it happen.
Have the sound effect in there too.
The implication, the sound effect and the implication of what's going on is sometimes more horrific or visceral than actually seeing it happen.
Yeah, and BVS Ultimate Cut was rated R for
I thought so.
Sequences of violence. But I don't remember there being any more additional sequences of violence outside of the original cut. In all honesty.
The warehouse scene where Batman takes out all the thugs holding Martha.
Oh, they show blood in that.
Longer. Yep, they add blood effects, and they made it a longer sequence. There's like a second or two of footage here and there where they actually hold on, like Batman breaking the guy's arm, like he snapped it the wrong way, and they don't cut away from it real quick. They kind of linger on some of that stuff. So
that's the best scene in that movie. That's a good movie. That's the best Batman fight scene we've ever had on camera. It was good. I've watched that so many times.
It's a good fight scene to be bouncing around from the guys and how effective and what a great way
it was very visceral, dude. Like you felt he was in it. Like and he got hit. It was good.
Yeah. But some of the choices that they chose, like some of the like killing blows that he inflicts there, I felt like they could have just pulled back just a second to keep it more in line with the version of Batman that I like. I think that is more realistic or not realistic. It's more classic, I guess, is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And again, we go back to, we haven't gotten, I guess with Batman we have, but I want the classic versions of these characters before I get the Elseworlds murder versions.
Yeah, like the ultra violent version of Batman.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that's what we kind of talked about before with like how they portrayed that Batman was like if we got the previous 20 years in movies that explain how he got to the point he's at now, you'd be more on board with whatever he's going through, because you're just kind of introduced to this Batman who we know Robin died to the Joker, but like we don't know how or why. And so the first time you see him, he just like wants to kill Superman, and he just wants to kill people in general, or is okay with it. So like I could see it. I understand why people are just like, that's not the Batman I know, guys. Like, and it's like, true, they make you kind of just go with it and just understand he's in a very bad place and has been doing this for 20 years. Like, if you're on board with that going into it, then it's all fine. But I could see it being very jarring for people.
Definitely.
Like, I love it, but I thought it was cool.
Hey, Rick, you're more, your wheelhouse is more like Star Wars and stuff. You're not.
Yeah.
I know you watch the superhero stuff, but you're not as hardcore about it as I think Rob and I are. Is it being rated R? Does that make you even more excited for it? Does it seem like it's going to be cooler or better because of that?
I don't think the rating would really determine how much more I'm going to like it or anything. I think it just really comes down to like how the story flows and how, the changes that were made and that sort of stuff. I mean, it's kind of just like, oh, it's probably going to be more violent because it's rated R now, but that doesn't really like excite me by any means. You could make it perfectly good in PG-13, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I'm worried about too, because like you even said, like with the BVS warehouse scene, it's like they added the blood splatter, and that's what got it the R.
Yeah, that's
like
stupid.
If that's all they're doing is they're holding on a shot of Steppenwolf hitting somebody, but they're showing it wound them and having blood squirt out. I guess it doesn't matter because it's on HBO Max and not going in theaters. So like they could keep it there and not risk losing out any money because they're not going to. So it's not getting a theatrical release, so it's not limiting the market. So I guess it doesn't really matter. But it's still just kind of like, I feel like it's a lot of just doing it for the sake of doing it, other than actually the story needing it to be. But it is what it is. Or did you have any, like, are you on board with it at all, John? Or like, what does it mean for you? Is this what it is?
I mean, at this point, we know what Zack Snyder is as far as a director, and when it comes to these characters, we've seen his version of these characters multiple times, and he goes for that more hardcore. So, in order to, I'll say this. If this is going to be Zack Snyder's vision of what these characters are in this movie should be, then I think it should be rated R. I'm glad it's rated R because I think that a PG-13 version would not be his vision of it. It would be a version of his vision, but it would be watered down. He clearly has a desire to push the envelope when it comes to the violence and stuff. He thinks that these characters need to be violent. And I keep saying violent, but that's the only word I can really come up with. He seems that hardcore. But yeah, there's a good word. He seems to feel that these characters need to have that hardcore edginess to them in a way that maybe they haven't been portrayed before. So from that standpoint, I'm glad it's rated R, just because we know that. I mean, I think it helps guarantee that we're getting what he has envisioned all along for this movie.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And if they're going to spend, $70-100 million to let him make this movie, they may as well let him make the movie.
Yeah,
sure.
So
let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely agree with it on that level. Whether or not it needs it, up for debate, and we'll have to see it to really know. But I don't think it's going to hurt it or make it any better in any way. It just kind of is what it is. So if that's what he wants to make, he wants to make. So the question is, guys, what do you think about all this Snyder Cut news? Are you on board with it being rated R? Do you think the Joker image is like in any way leading to like a redesign of Jared Leto's Joker? Like maybe it could be, or do you think it's just the shot being that way for promotional purposes? Do you think it's actually something in the movie? And then what else would we talk about with the Snyder Cut? Other than the nightmare scene, what do you think about it even being in Justice League, considering the Nightmares footage was only in BVS before? Do you think it's just unused Nightmare stuff, or do you think they're actually like Zack shot new Nightmare footage for Justice League that was unused in BVS altogether? So like we never got any in Justice League, but there was supposed to be some in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below.